Good evening, good morning, and good night. And welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Shauna. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. I hope all is well. I hope y'all are doing y'all damn thing. Okay? Yes, we are still struggling to get through the periodic table. We have to discuss nitrogen as far as the fundamental four elements are concerned, which are oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, and of course nitrogen. You don't have to wait for me to go ahead and study the table on your own, but we do have a topic that we have to discuss, right? Every now and again the Most High will cut into the series to have us discuss something that's sort of kind of out of alignment. Now, we went into how zodiac signs and elements as they pertain to the zodiac have an effect, and they are contributing factors to the energies that are required to balance out the bloodlines, right? The creator brought this back up to me, and a lot of people don't really see the necessary things that are required in order to flourish. So the creator wants to go back over something and go into it so it can be more plain. A lot of people, I'm not sure why, but mainly black women go through this egotistical phase. I don't know what to call it, and I'm not blaming us, because of course society has made it where we don't really have anyone to rely on, right? But we have opted out to raise our children single, and sometimes one parent is completely absent, and sometimes the offspring doesn't get the opportunity to connect with their other side. And don't get me wrong, sometimes the creator wants it that way, right? But in terms of balance and what's required in order for balance to be achieved, this is a necessary evil, okay? Now, I see some women, mainly women, but people, let me just say people, look at like a break from the kids as like a release, right? And indeed it is. However, this is actually a way for the bridge, okay, to be formed, the gap to be closed, closeness and intimacy to be, founded upon. This is important for the child's development spiritually, socially, economically. Okay? Obviously, we're going to go over the more spiritual aspects of it, but socially, it's good to have two different perspectives, two different upbringings, two different sides of a coin. It's still one coin, but these can result in a well-rounded personality and mindset, right? Well-rounded personality and mindset. Then when you go over to economically, again, being in different environments calls for new ideas, new layers to be peeled back and observed. Okay? Now, when it comes to spiritually, if this is a bridge that the creator wants to be built, we can't fight against it. So if you see a dad or a mom attempting to right their wrongs, no matter how bad they screwed up, or if they are attempting to partake in their child's life, it is for the benefit of the kid to develop spiritually and emotionally and mentally. Now, again, you use your discernment. You have to remove your ego out of that, and say, my child does deserve to have a relationship with the other portion of themselves so they can have a better idea of what they're up against. Because if a kid is to break a cycle or continue, right, a new cycle that's just been perpetuated and it's on the up and up, you will want them to know where their twos are inherited from, right? Being in that environment will cultivate those spiritual twos. What do I mean by that? Let's say you're American and your child's other parent is Haitian, right? Or African. Let's just say African. And they come from an African family that is of royal status, but they also go through a lot of spiritual warfare. But because of the cultural differences, the two of you have not been able to reach common ground on how you want to raise and invest in this offspring. As time goes on, this offspring begins to encounter much spiritual warfare like those of the parent, right? Like those, all of the people that came before them, all of their ancestors, right? And it's on them to break this pattern. Wouldn't it behoove them to have a good understanding of who those people are, so they can get history, so they can gain knowledge, so they can get an understanding of what it is that they're made of? This will better equip them on how to move forward. Doesn't matter the gender, but I brought up the horoscopes because we talked about this from the zodiac standpoint and the spiritual aspect, as far as breaking habits and things like that. But socially, we haven't really went into how it affects us spiritually, right? So if you want to make your child have increased chances of survival, that is a balance that's required for them to have a better opportunity. Even if it's the same culture, same race, same ethnic background, whatever, okay, it doesn't matter, whatever it may be. And this in turn is actually enhancing your own bloodline. If you allow your child to break cycles off of themselves, it automatically enhances you. I'll give you an example. Sometimes you'll see parents be like teen parents, right? And then their kids will go on to graduate high school and then college, and then next thing you know, you see the parent going on to get their GED, and then they go on to college and they get their degrees also, right? These are just examples of how the cycles manifest, and sometimes they manifest out of order, and that is because the cycle breaker has to break the cycle in order for certain things to manifest down in the 3D. I'll give you another example. You looking now at yourself as an adult saying, damn, when I graduated high school, I was only making $5 an hour. Minimum wage was $6 and $7. And then you compare that to the minimum wage now, which is, I believe, like $14 or $15. Right? Cycles being broken, inheritances being received. in you being willing to allow, right? Because if it's not on you to break the cycle, and if it's on someone after, you have to be willing to accept your role in receiving or just simply supporting to make sure that the cycle is broken. A lot of us come from families where cycles need to be broken. But if you're dealing with the situation where you are the one breaking cycles on both sides, then you really have to understand, or if you're the parent of the child who's breaking cycles on both sides, then it's imperative for you to understand why this is such a big deal and what's required in order for things not to backfire on you in a bad way. Not many of us have the fundamentals. And when I say balance, spiritual balance, I mean, think about how you would grow up saying, oh, I didn't know my father, or I didn't have a good relationship with them, and how it affects you. And this is not to say that people who have both parents are going to turn out better, or those who have one parent are worse. It's simply stating that it calls for the spirit to be balanced. It brings a particular level of balance to the psyche of the person who is in touch with their maternal and paternal sides. I don't have any children, so I know that this message isn't for me, but the Creator wanted to go over the importance, right? How it affects the kid on a spiritual level and how it affects you. If you yourself are the parent and your child is breaking off these cycles, when you give them the space and the environment to break those cycles, you too get to benefit off of those cycles being broken. I'll use another one. DC Young Fly. He's one. He has these parents. I think he said his oldest sibling is like 60 something, right? His parents are really old. And then when you come fast forward like 30 years later, you see someone who has enhanced the financial and economic and social status of the bloodline, which in turn means that there was an elevation in the spirit, right? And it doesn't mean that the means, right? That doesn't necessarily determine that the means that this enhancement was good. It just indicates that in the spirit an upgrade happened, and then it manifests down into the 3D, and this is what we can see, right? And remember, we talked about the oldest and the youngest most of the time being the cycle breakers, right? The black sheep, the isolated one, the chosen one. We talked about that. So, we're going to get to the periodic table, but I think this particular topic was just about people who are confused about building with either side of their family or just dealing with their family at all. You have to use your discernment. You have to understand how this can shape and mold you or your child and what it does for the bloodline overall. Even if you're not interacting daily, just having an understanding with them can open everybody up to advancements in the bloodline, okay? But I'm going to end it here. I love y'all. Hope y'all drink y'all water, eat y'all fruit and y'all vegetables, and sip y'all tea because it's free. I hope y'all are getting y'all rest and taking care of yourselves and staying safe out there. I love y'all. Peace.